Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of LEAFIO Retail Reimagined Podcast. I'm Victor Novak, and today we're looking ahead to the technology set to reshape the global retail in 2026. Artificial intelligence is moving faster than any retail innovation we've seen in the past decade. It's expected for the AI retail market to grow by over $40 billion by 2030. And what is really important is AI is not anymore only analyzing the data, but it acts on it. In this episode, we break down the top 5 retail technology trends with AI for 2026, focusing on what's emerging right now. In particular, we are covering Agentic and autonomous AI, unified AI-powered retail platforms, AI-driven pricing and promotions, predictive supply chains, and AI-powered security and fraud prevention. And to help us unpack these trends, we have an outstanding team with us on board. Brad Mitchler, LEAFIO's VP of North America, Victor Hart, our global sales manager, Cecilia Flores Castillo, our retail supply chain expert joining us from Brazil, and Andy Marchenko, retail efficiency expert across EMEA markets. So let's dive right into the first trend, and it's a big one: Agentic and autonomous AI. AI has officially moved from being a decision support tool to becoming a decision execution mechanism engine. This is basically where Agentic AI comes in, systems that plan, act, and self-adjust in real time. So, Brett, I'm curious, how is this change playing out across North America?
Yeah, thanks, Victor. In North America, retailers are under, I think, more pressure than ever before to make faster, more accurate decisions. And so, they're looking for agentic AI to really become the answer for them. Retailers are no longer satisfied with just dashboards that tell them what happened in the past. They want technology that shows them what the problem is, identifies it, and then actually becomes fixes the problem, becomes the answer on the fly in real time. And so what we're seeing here is, autonomous systems that can do a lot of things. They can cut prices when seasonal items sort of slow down, right? They can redistribute inventory automatically between their stores, and they can initiate replenishment as soon as sell-through patterns and demand changes in their business. We want to be able to coordinate promotions with actual inventory availability as well. And so we're seeing Agentic AI play a role in all these areas. I think if I look forward to 2026, it will be dramatically different from the past couple of years. Retailers are expecting AI to act for them in real time, not just in retrospect, right? We want to be proactive instead of reactive.
And this isn't just theoretical. Decision-making agents are handling replenishment cycles, markdowns, and even new product launches. For example, a system can detect that a summer item is losing positions in minutes, not in days, and it can immediately adjust its price, trigger a transfer to a higher demand store, update its forecast, and notify the category manager. And these micro actions add up to millions in protected margin across a vast network. A good example from LEAFIO's ecosystem is the Shelf AI Assistant, which scans huge volumes of reporting data and flags shelf, assortment, or availability problems instantly and proposes fixes right away. This model is becoming common across all of the retail industry.
Thanks, Victor. That's really insightful. And I'm curious, how does it play out across Brazil, Cecilia?
And let's not forget the after-sales process automation. So not only in Brazil, but in Latin America, this process has been transforming customer support, and this using of AI service agents allows now the retailers and the overall industry to do a lot of automated actions. For example, sending post-purchase instructions, answering product questions, managing delivery updates, automated returns, recommending add-ons, and also escalating complex cases to humans. So this is creating nowadays a continuous personalized touch point that retailers could never deliver manually. And customers absolutely love the 24/7 responsiveness.
Absolutely. So this convinces me one more time that AI is taking center stage, not only in informing the retailers about the necessary changes, but actually carrying them out. So right now, it's a real transformation where humans set up and configure the systems, and set up the strategy, but the system carries it out, executes the set strategy. So now let's move to the next trend that enables all of these possible unified retail platforms. So again, based on what we discuss with the customers, with the retailers across the globe, we see more and more that retailers are becoming more aware that these connected solutions are actually having a huge impact on their operations and actually slows them down. At the same time, the unified AI platforms are becoming more and more significant and are playing more crucial role nowadays in ensuring the optimum performance of retailers and achievement of their goals.
Yeah, absolutely, Victor. I cannot agree with you more. Same in EMEA. We see more and more companies are trying to eliminate the Frankenstein architecture, where you have a number of solutions just stitched together, but actually not producing anything that is going to be really viable. And you understand, if you are not having the unified architecture, you are not going to be able to compete in terms of speed, in terms of efficiency, and of course, customer edge. So imagine, again, a very simple situation. You've got one team planning for the promotions and another team having no idea, like supply chain team having no idea what's going to be happening. What you're going to end up with is, of course, very dissatisfied customers who are going to come for the promotion, but not going to receive goods they wanted. And therefore, one of the strongest trends we see in the EMEA region is customers looking for a unified platforms that help to automate for multiple and crucial business processes, such as category management, such as inventory, such as promotional management, and of course, merchandising, because having this unified infrastructure helps us to make a better decision, and really it helps with a mentality shift. It helps us, rather than reactively working issue on issue, it helps us to have also unified goals, which is also very important and provides a number of our customers with a big competitive edge.
Yeah, and it's essential in North America too, for sure. Retailers, they want ecosystems, not apps, not applications. They want future demand to drive, how they lay out their shelf. They want their shelf performance to drive how they update their assortment. And they want assortment to automatically drive how they plan and replenish their inventory. For example, if a category manager decides to approve a new product and launch it into the stores, they need a unified platform that instantly updates planograms, pushes it down to the store managers to actually go and make those planograms compliant, and then ultimately trigger updates to our forecast and our replenishment plan so that stores actually have the new inventory that aligns with the category manager's decisions. That's the kind of, speed and real-time planning that, retailers are expecting and will be expecting in 2026.
Exactly. And unified platforms are proving to be really the only scalable approach. So retailers are typically starting small, maybe with inventory optimization as an example, and then expanding into planograms, then promotions, then advanced analytics. Because everything shares the same data structure, the ROI simply compounds as more modules are added on. And we see this all the time with LEAFIO's ecosystem. Forecasting, planograms, assortment, shelf analytics loop endlessly, reinforcing each other, just driving better and better results over time.
Well, absolutely. And important thing that we spot as well with our customers, when the entire retail chain is able to communicate in real time, it allows to react faster, take faster decisions, plan smarter. And obviously this all comes up with a reduced cost of time-consuming and costly manual work. As a next trend as discussed, let's look at one of the hottest areas where AI is rewriting the rules, pricing and promotions. So pricing is becoming extremely dynamic. In 2026, static price tags are becoming more and more as an exception, not the rule. Artificial intelligence is enabling retailers to drive real-time adjustments based on the demand, competition, and stock levels.
Yeah, exactly. Dynamic pricing has finally hit mainstream adoption, which is awesome. Now, artificial intelligence engines can detect demand drops, analyze competitor moves, read local elasticity, evaluate stock levels, apply predefined margin rules, and much more. And this helps them to automatically adjust prices through digital shelf labels, which can mean thousands of micro updates per day, which you can imagine is simply not possible when it's being managed by humans.
And also, it's important to mention that promotions are becoming even more scientific. So now, artificial intelligence systems can identify the cannibalization risks, the halo effects, promotional fatigue, optimal depth and duration, and also the cross-category uplift. Just to give a quick example here in Brazil, we are seeing retailers now achieving 20% higher availability of products, also reducing their even in 50% their overstocks, and finally achieving a 15% higher forecast accuracy. So promotional science is now becoming a real competitive advantage, and shoppers feel the impact instantly.
I totally agree with you, Cecilia. Pricing is becoming a living system, adjusting by the hour. And it's really important that companies are able to adapt to these dynamics seamlessly. Now let's shift to the backbone of retail that AI is reshaping the most: supply chains. And I think what's important here is, in the recent years, companies around the world, retailers around the world, realized that the traditional supply chains were built for optimization, not for volatility. But actually, volatility is something that happened, and the retailers faced a lot during these years. So the value of AI in today's conditions and why it's so important is because it can predict the disruptions even before they happen, and enables retailers to get prepared to ensure the minimized risks, minimized losses for them, and actually executing their strategy with no delay, with no actual losses to the planned effects.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Victor. And it's important to mention that today, artificial intelligence can scan millions of signals of data across a global ecosystem. So now we can consider within the supply chain efficiency the weather patterns, the port congestion, geopolitical instability, many factors that back in the day were not possible to even consider. Now we also can include in these factors the social sentiment and news cycles, shipping and custom logs, and also the supplier reliability and lead time. So whenever a risk emerges, which is a constant in the supply chain, the system can flag potential issues weeks in advance. So now, instead of reacting to delays, retailers can prepare and actually do this strategy in a planned way. So now with these tools, the retailers can reroute the shipments, refine the order timing, suggest alternative suppliers, and also adjust their network flows. What used to require days of manual analysis and coordination now happens in seconds, and this level of prediction is becoming a competitive advantage.
In the US, retailers are taking it, I think, even further. Predictive supply chain data isn't just for logistics. It's really feeding into every aspect of retail planning, across pricing, promotions, assortment, replenishment logic, even things like workforce scheduling and automation amongst all these components is becoming really paramount for the retailers here in the US. Let me give you an example. Let's say a storm is threatening our deliveries, right? Our replenishment to our stores. The system can and should be able to automatically increase safety stock, move around labor hours, delay promotions that we have planned, adjust pricing, etc., all without waiting for the crisis to unfold. And now we're seeing, I think, a new powerful dimension to that, which is AI-enabled sustainability and waste reduction, right? I think AI can play a great role in sort of sustainability, and retailers are using these predictive models to reduce spoilage, especially in the perishable categories, by ordering smarter and with better timing. We're minimizing excess miles traveled by optimizing the routes that we're taking. We can consolidate shipments to lower emissions, and then balance write-offs so that our inventory is very aligned with our demand, to eliminate those write-offs, ultimately as perishable categories. Things like shrinking safety stocks without, increasing the risk of stock out, and aligning fresh deliveries with true consumption patterns all plays a role in sort of making our supply chain sustainable. And AI is really boosting this. It's not just about cost optimization, though. It's really environmental responsibility driven by data in our business. A more predictive supply chain reduces food waste, lowers the carbon footprint, and helps retailers meet ESG targets without sacrificing profitability. And that's where I think I see agentic AI and supply chain kind of converging right now at this time. The system just doesn't predict a disruption in the future. It actually, looks at it and executes adjustments to overcome it. It's sort of becoming this self-steering supply chain that optimizes around availability, cost, and sustainability all simultaneously. So this is happening right now. I think it's very exciting.
Absolutely. I personally think that companies who are late on implementation of these technologies for predicting the future and actually avoiding those disruptions or avoiding the heavy impact of those disruptions will ultimately lose a lot of competitiveness if they don't keep up with the tempo, with the evolution of the today's technologies. And as the final one, which personally for me is the most interesting, because that's something that we face when we speak about space planning, that we hear from the customers more and more often, it's computer vision and image recognition. So basically, it all started with standard recognition of the pictures, but right now the technology is evolving so rapidly that the computer vision allows retailers not only to run a simple comparison between the pictures, between what's in the system and what's in the store, but actually enables them to also run the full compliance of the planograms, the stock availability of the store of the goods on the shelves, and in particular run checkout optimization and get real-time customer behavior insights, which prove to be extremely important for successful realization of the space planning strategy for each company. So it's totally understandable why for many retailers computer vision is becoming the bridge between the physical store and an AI-driven decision making.
Indeed, and I would like to also add, Victor, that I think that's been the most revolutionary part when we are speaking about in-store operations. Because if you look at the typical store operations, there could be a number of people who are continuously busy. They need to check if the products are placed correctly. If they're placed at all, if every single product which needs to be shelved is actually there. They need to check on pricing, they need to make sure that they have the right quantity, and they have to do a lot of this work. Sometimes, as a result, if your store is understaffed, as a result, you might not be able to provide the level of customer service that is expected from you. And therefore, despite that it helps store employees to automate so many different manual activities, which would otherwise take them hours and hours during the daytime, store employees can actually focus more on the customers, provide better, more personalized service, and of course, at the same time, not only decrease cost for the stores on those manual operations, but also increase revenue because the customers are going to be more satisfied and going to get the quality of the service that would be required. So I believe if you're looking at the EMEA markets, that's one of the most revolutionary changes that happened with regards to AI.
Yeah. I'm so excited about computer vision. Computer vision, I think, really should go far beyond just compliance, right? It's turning into a dynamic performance engine. Image recognition models can do a lot. It's really amazing. We can read product labels and package designs with extreme accuracy, analyze shelf space productivity, identify which items are touched but not purchased. This is incredible data to have. We can evaluate brand visibility, track how long products are remaining on the shelf, and ultimately map customer movement paths, which help us optimize layouts. One of the biggest leaps we're seeing in North America is the integration with autonomous actions, coupling with this computer vision. So for an example, if the system detects an out of stock, it can trigger an immediate replenishment task to overcome that out of stock. And we can update the forecast, notify the distribution center, evaluate if we should change the assortment because of availability. And ultimately, once those decisions are made, we can then confirm that compliance is, refilled on the shelf. And so this really turns, I think, hours of manual delay process and mitigation into a closed loop, which is, detecting the problem, taking the right actions to solve it, and then verifying that we've solved that action. So this is where computer vision is really becoming the eyes of the entire retail ecosystem.
Thank you for these insights, colleagues. And before we close, it's important to acknowledge the challenges retailers face in adopting these technologies, because obviously it takes some effort, some time to make the technology up and running. And the most frequent challenges retailers face during the implementation is fragmented, low-quality data, lack of skilled users, skilled personnel to actually utilize those technologies, privacy and regulation pressure on the legislative side. Upfront investment obviously is also one of the key driving factors for the retailers. Sometimes it may be harder to measure ROI from the start, and you can only understand the impact this technology had after the implementation and the usage of the solution. And employees' concerns around automation, because obviously automation comes with the reduced amount of time, reduced amount of employees may come with these challenges for certain retailers. But we see retailers overcoming these challenges through unified data platforms, pilot first rollouts where we can focus on the limited scope to give the customer the ability to test everything before committing to scaling the system fully on the whole chain. Modular cloud ecosystems where you can start with one module and after implementation start scaling. So there is always a potential to grow and increase the suite of solutions and optimize your supply chain even farther. Training employees, and that's something we provide when we implement the solutions. It's a full onboarding, full support in terms of using the system and sharing methodology, how to make it efficient, and at the same time how to not just replace employees, but how to enable employees to use the technology in a smart way to deliver the expected results to the chain. It's obviously specific governance and compliance frameworks and the transparent communication, being transparent about what's possible, what has to be done, what are the potential results, and how much effort should be committed to achieve those results. So one important conclusion is that the retailers who approach AI as a strategic partner and not just as a tool or just an add-on to the existing infrastructures are the ones who are winning already and the ones who will win eventually if they're starting this journey today. So thank you, everyone. Today we explored the 5 biggest AI-driven retail technology trends shaping the coming 2026, and Agentic AI, unified platforms, predictive supply chains, dynamic pricing, and intelligent security. And those are the areas which are reshaping how retailers work today, how retailers plan today, and how retailers serve their customers to ensure the best quality and the best customer experience. And I want to thank you once again to my colleagues who joined me on this call to discuss these extremely interesting areas and topics. Brad Mitchler, Victor Hart, Celia Flores Castillo, and Annie Marchenko. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your expertise, your insights. It was extremely valuable, and I hope it will be valuable as well to our listeners and viewers. And to our listeners and viewers, thank you for listening, watching us. You can explore more insights on the LEAFIO AI blog. And if you want to see how artificial intelligence can transform your retail operations, visit us at LEAFIO AI. Leave a simple request and we'll reach out to you with further details to tell you more, to share more about the possibilities and share our expertise with you. Until next time, keep reimagining the future of retail.